Welcome back, team. Okay, team. So, in our previous class, we just discussed about differences between the on-premises and cloud computing model, especially the public cloud. So that was the part exactly we discussed in the earlier class. In this particular class, we are going to discuss mainly about the deployment models. Okay, what are deployment models means further to this particular concept, whatever we touched yesterday, especially on the public cloud, right? We're going to see what are all the deployment models are there and what exactly the purpose of those models. Those things we'll understand a bit here. Okay, before going further, you have any questions? Anyone has any questions? Any new joinees, any question? Alright, if no questions, that's fine. Alright, so in this particular deployment models team, especially we need to understand what exactly the public cloud, what private cloud, what a hybrid cloud, what a multi-cloud. So you need to understand what exactly the purpose of these clouds. Okay, let's understand one by one. So first let's define each and everything. Okay, the first one is the public cloud. And secondly, I'm just keeping the private cloud. Hybrid cloud. Multi-cloud. Especially we are going to discuss about the deployment models. As part of the deployment models, we have different types of deployment models. Those are public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. We need to understand the importance of each and everything here. So then only you can choose the right cloud for your infrastructure. But we are here to learn about the public cloud only. But if we understand what exactly different types of deployment models, that's really good. Right. Team able to hear me clearly, right? Confirm me one more time, please.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption, team. All right, team. So now, we'll understand each and everything here. So what exactly the public cloud? So exactly the thing whatever we discussed yesterday, especially. So when you go for the public cloud, so all the things whatever we discussed especially yesterday, especially on the storage, CPU, RAM, network, all these things, you can use those things and you need to pay according to your use. That's called pay-as-you-go model. Exactly the pay-as-you-go model. That is how exactly this particular public cloud works. And you need to understand one more thing. If you consider this public cloud, usually you may think of, for example, team, you can see Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, all these things are public cloud. They are offering the public cloud services. That is where exactly we are going to see in further classes. We are going to utilize those services and we will form the architectures and we will see the deployments also. So the main advantage for the public cloud is, so whatever the resources, whatever the services are there under the public cloud, you will utilize those resources and you will pay accordingly based on your usage. This is how exactly the public cloud works. If you go for the private cloud, there is another one called private cloud. So you need to understand a bit on the private cloud as well. This particular, name itself is clearly mentioning us. It's a private. It's a private, meaning that they are not opening this particular cloud for entire public. They are not opening completely. You need to think about that one a bit. Okay. Then how exactly the public cloud varied when we compared with the private cloud varies when we compare with the public cloud. You need to understand a bit here. This private cloud is this public cloud is also managed by the vendor. Vendor means third party person. Who is the third party person in our Azure Devops? Azure is the third party person. In case of AWS, AWS is the third party. Google, GCP, the Google is the third party. That is what exactly we'll call vendor. Third party vendor providers. We'll call that one as a vendor. They are the vendors. They are providing their services to us. We are the customers. We are the customers which we are going to utilize their services team. This is the part exactly you need to keep in your mind. Alright. If you go for this private cloud, you know how exactly the private cloud works. The private cloud is, again, if you consider a particularly an organization, if you consider an organization, this particular organization, again, this organization is thinking, okay, this organization thinking, hey, if we keep our data entirely in the public cloud, that may not be safe. That may not be safe if we keep the data entirely in the public cloud. That is why we just want to keep our data, especially in our own cloud. But this cloud is not managing by you. Again, a third party only managing this one. But you have the proper terms and conditions. You are completely trusting this particular third party, whoever is offering the private cloud to you. You are completely trusting that. Then obviously you will go for the private cloud. Then why we are going for the private cloud? You may think, hey, why don't we go for the on-premises in this case? On-premises, that is what exactly we discussed, no? Why don't we go for the on-premises in this particular case? Is there any difference? Why don't we go for the on-premises? Sorry, let me remove the grid. I believe you can see that particular part. I think it's because of the grid only. I think the values are where is the grid? Just a moment in, yeah, this one, yeah. I think, I don't know why it is moved out. I think some override. Okay, all right. So this here exactly we discussed about the on-premises. When we discussed about the on-premises system, we clearly mentioned this infrastructure is completely owned by the organization. You are the owner. You need to maintain the organization. You need to maintain the deployment. You need to maintain the patch updates. You need to maintain the security. You need to maintain the scalability. You need to maintain the HA. But when it comes to the private cloud, especially, so why we are going for the cloud? Usually we are going for the cloud to just get few benefits, especially to get few benefits where I think you can scalable to certain extent, you can maintain high availability, you can have better disaster recovery, all these things you can manage, right? All these things you are getting. For example, all of a sudden if you get a very high traffic to your application, if you are maintaining a cloud, I think definitely you can manage that. If you are maintaining on-premises, that is what exactly the problem we discussed at time, right? When it goes for the private cloud, when it goes for the private cloud, you can take a simple example. The public cloud is, you can compare the public cloud with a transportation bus. You can compare with the bus. So you are just getting to the bus, and for example, if you are traveling from A to B, you will just pay for that amount of 5 rupees or 10 rupees or 20 rupees or 30 rupees or 50 rupees. That is where exactly the public cloud works. So whatever the journey you are going to have, for that only you are going to pay. Simple. That is what the public cloud. But what is the private cloud? I can compare the private cloud with purchasing a car. You are purchasing a car. So you obviously, you need to pay certain amount upfront. Some 7 lakhs or 10 lakhs, whatever the amount you need to pay, and you need to buy the car. And you can utilize the car however you want. You can utilize it. You can customize it. You can do whatever you want, because that particular private cloud is completely under you. Under you in the sense, I am telling you, and another side it is maintaining by the vendor. Whatever you say, the vendor will listen, because you are the customer. Obviously he will listen. That is how exactly this particular things works. Right. There is one more called hybrid cloud. I can say hybrid cloud is the one, if, for example, when you are traveling, usually you will book a car, Ola or Uber, right? Usually we will book this cars, the rental car. I can say the rental car is a hybrid cloud. So usually how exactly this particular feeling would be. So whatever the journey you are going to have, you will feel you are owning that particular thing, and you feel more comfortable as well. So these kind of benefits you will get, but you can observe the price difference also. But you may get one doubt, okay? So what exactly this particular hybrid cloud refers to? So you need to think about that one also, Tim. So the things are very clear about the public cloud. This is the one exactly, completely public, completely services are public, and you can utilize and you can comfortably use this one. Private cloud is the one, for example, if the organization thinks, okay, I don't want to keep my data in the public. I don't want to keep my data in the public. I just want to keep my data safely. Maybe you can think about the private cloud. That's absolutely all right. But when you go for the hybrid cloud, why and what is exactly the scenario we need to go for the hybrid cloud? I'm telling you, hybrid cloud is a combination of public and private cloud. So you may think, okay, sometimes sometimes, especially I'm just telling it, okay, sometimes, okay, you may think, okay, I want to keep a certain information, especially the database information, exactly, because that is the thing exactly you need to, always you need to safeguard that one. Always you need to safeguard that one. So you may think, I want to keep database with me in my private cloud and all my other services. What are the other deployments are there, application or load balancers or network, all those things I will utilize from the public cloud. You got the difference, team. You want to keep some information, some sensitive information inside your private cloud, and other services such as load balancers, applications, switches, whatever it is, remaining all components I'm just touching. That could be application deployments, could be anything. I want to utilize those things from the public cloud. But only database only I want to deploy in the private cloud. For example, only database only I want to deploy in the private cloud. For example, I'm just keeping this one here. Okay, I'm just taking this particular thing also. I'm taking this particular thing also. I just want to keep only database because this is a sensitive information, no? Obviously, it's a sensitive information. So I want to keep this my particular database under the private cloud, and I want to use the public cloud also. There are certain uses in using public cloud. Why this particular person is using? If you really think, oh, I want to keep my data very securely, he can choose the private cloud, no? Why he is choosing public and private? What is the reason? Because, for example, if this particular application, whatever the application gets a huge traffic, if he gets a huge traffic, he should be able to scale. The private cloud can scale up to certain extent because you purchased this one. You already purchased it, like a car. You already purchased. That's all. You cannot do anything. So, for example, in your family, you have 4 members today. You purchased a car where it can accommodate only 4 members. For example, 2 more persons got added to your family. You need to scale up. This car cannot be scaled up, right? You need to buy a new car. You need to extend accordingly, right? In the same way, when it comes to the hybrid cloud team, you can keep your sensitive information under the private cloud. For example, I may get some huge traffic. Then I need to scale. According to my traffic. Then you can use public cloud to scale. That is exactly the benefit you can think here. See, 2 scenarios I'm covering under hybrid cloud. The first one is you want to keep your data very much secure. The second thing is you want to scale during certain periods or peak hours. At the time, the public cloud, integrating with the public cloud is really helpful for you. Whatever the components exactly needs to be scalable, you will deploy those components in the public cloud. That is how exactly hybrid cloud works. Then what is multi-cloud? Then? So you need to think about this one also, no? What exactly the multi-cloud one? See, the name itself is telling very clearly. The multi-cloud is the multiple clouds, meaning that you want to use Azure and AWS. You want to use Azure, AWS and GCP. You want to use Azure, AWS and IBM cloud also. So, or Alibaba cloud, whatever it is. If the customer or the organization that customer want to use, for example, I'm just keeping team, okay? For example. So, I just want to use Azure plus AWS plus GCP, not only any combination, any 2 combinations, okay? So you can get at least 2 I'm just considering, okay? Can be anything like this, but tell me why they need this kind of deployment model exactly. What is the reason for them? Is there any reason? Do you think the organization has, or the client is very rich, that's why he just want to spend, that's why he's spending in Azure, AWS, GCP? Do you think in this way? Are you thinking in this way? No. There is a reason for that one again. The certain situation, especially why multi-cloud is required. I'll put the scenario for you, team. For example, this is organization, okay? This organization has a customer base. This organization customer base is Singapore. I'm just telling here a simple scenario. Singapore is the customer base, okay? Now, what exactly the point I'm telling here, team? So when your organization customer base is Singapore, obviously you will deploy entire infrastructure in Singapore only. If you keep your infrastructure in Azure, AWS or GCP in Singapore, then only the Singapore users can get your data very fast, right? Very good latency will be there. because the response time will be very less, and you will get the response very quickly, team. That is the benefit exactly you will get. For example, this organization, customer base is Singapore. Unfortunately, Azure is not offering any data centers or zones in the Singapore region. For example, yesterday we just touched a point. Especially each region has the corresponding to the zone. For example, this region, they are not considering the Singapore as the one region. There is no data center and there is no zonal division, especially in the Singapore region. Azure is not offering. Just example, I'm just telling. They're offering actually. For example, I'm just telling. They're not offering. But AWS is offering. Okay, then obviously, but you are very much interested to use Azure only, because all other services, especially you deployed in Azure, but AWS is offering, especially in the Singapore. Obviously, client will go to AWS because AWS is offering a complete data center setup in the Singapore region. Let's consider one more scenario. The same organization has client base in Singapore and Hong Kong also. I just consider one more region, okay? But in Hong Kong region, Azure is offering, but Singapore region, AWS is offering. What exactly you will do? For Hong Kong users, obviously, since in Hong Kong region, AWS is not offering, Azure only offering, obviously I will use Azure cloud only. In Singapore, I will use AWS. At the same time, I will go for the Hong Kong. If I go for the Hong Kong, I'm just taking this one as HK, okay? Hong Kong, here I will use Azure. Here I will use Azure. See, what exactly? You are serving both the public, especially in Singapore and the Hong Kong public, really well. Because with the help of the cloud infrastructure provided by Azure and AWS. This is called multi-cloud. Same infrastructure, but you deployed in the two different clouds. Same infrastructure you deployed in the two different clouds to just serve your customer better. So that is the only purpose exactly you use two different clouds. That is one benefit. Second benefit I will tell. Second scenario. Okay, for example, okay, I'm very sure that my customer base is Singapore. Okay, Azure is offering the data centers and the zone and region completely in the Singapore. AWS is also offering. Both are offering in Singapore. Just assume both are offering the same scenario today also. Azure and AWS both are offering. Sometimes organizations are very much interested to deploy their particular architecture, their particular application into Azure and AWS both. You know the reason why? We don't know, because you need to trust Microsoft. You need to trust the Microsoft. You need to trust the Amazon. Right? You need to completely trust it. If all of a sudden, if something happens for this particular Microsoft, especially the Azure infrastructure, who will be the responsible? So you need to wait. I already gave the scenario yesterday. We waited for 8 to 9 hours to just restore the particular system to back. See, waited for 8 to 9 hours. If your application is really B2C, meaning that the customer used application like Amazon.in or Flipkart, this kind of application, it's a huge business loss for you. It's a huge business loss. In that particular scenario, obviously they will have some other infrastructure in another cloud. That is what maintaining HA. Team. So they are highly available across the cloud, not only the cloud, across the cloud. So that is also possible in this particular multi-cloud scenario. That is exactly the thing which I just want to discuss with you, team. Okay. So those are the points. Just keep in your mind. These are really important for you, because you should understand the scenario. What is the scenario and what exactly the thing usually we will discuss. Why we need to go for that. What exactly the scenarios will fall under that. Then only we need to choose the right cloud. Obviously, most of the cloud, 90% of the application will choose public cloud only. Because if you, for example, I'll come one by one. To go for the multi-cloud, so you need to spend money here. You need to spend money in two different clouds, obviously, and you need to spend money for resources. You need to spend a lot of time to set up this architecture. You need to maintain that. You need to support it. It's not easy for a normal client. Not easy, because they need to pay more. Coming to this one. So hybrid cloud, this particular thing again, you want to keep this particularly you want to keep your database, the sensitive information in this particular private cloud, and the remaining scalable things and all you want to keep in the public cloud. Especially this is also usually because they already spent a super amount in buying this particular private cloud. Why again they want to go for this public cloud? Usually if they are really interested, obviously they will choose private cloud only. So remember one thing, team. Whenever you are going for the cloud means you need to trust. You should trust that. Then only you can feel more confident and you can sleep really well. Thank you for the session. See you in the next part.